All right, back on the morning drive on this Friday morning. Weekend staring us right in the face. Remember our big Spirit of America celebration coming up on July 4th. So we'll give you more details about that. Coming up, we've been talking to a lot of political candidates whose races will be decided on July 31st. And something else that will be decided on the July 31st primaries is the issue of the transportation splost. And very glad to have with us this morning the mayor of Dalton, Georgia, which is just about as far the other side of Georgia as you can get from Valdosta. David Pennington joining us this morning. David, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, Chris. It's great to be with you all down here in South Georgia.
Where it's ironically a little bit cooler than it is in Dalton.
It definitely is cooler, yeah.
Heat wave hitting everybody. But first of all, David, tell folks a little bit about yourself. You're the mayor of Dalton. How long have you been the mayor there?
I've just started my second term. And I ran for Mayor Dalton to begin with because, I thought we were overtaxed and overgoverned, and we've cut taxes every year that I've been mayor.
Well, people, I'm sure, like to hear that up there. So, of course, the carpet capital of the world and a beautiful part of Georgia.
And we're still making carpet. Not enough of it, but we're still making carpet up there.
I know the folks in Dalton, that industry has taken a hit along with everything else when it comes to home building over the last several years. But hopefully on the rebound, we hope.
Well, we're not seeing much rebound, but at least it's not going down anymore at the moment.
You also have a background in economics as well. I know you majored in that whenever you were in school, and you've done a lot of the mayor's a part-time position, correct? So you also work.
Correct. I'm in insurance. I'm an independent insurance agent.
Gotcha. So I think your background in economics lends itself to the T-Splost initiative, which you are not in favor of. And tell folks. First of all, just some of the big problems that you see with the T-Splost.
People need to understand where our state is economically. And from 1979 through 1997, we went from 34th in per capita income in America to 21st. Since then, we've gone from 21st to 40th. We are falling fast economically as a state. And the last thing we need is the largest tax increase in Georgia history when we're trying to turn ourselves around economically. And as I term this is the wrong tax because it's structured poorly at the wrong time in a very difficult economic time, chasing the wrong solution.
Now, when you say it's structured poorly, expound on that.
Well, first of all, this tax really was structured for Metro Atlanta. There are traffic problems there. But since they lumped them together in a region, they decided the rest of Georgia had to be in regions. And they use regional commissions to do that. Well, what occurs when you do that, in our region, we are a Tennessee border county, which means we have to compete with Tennessee economically, who has no state income tax. The only way we can do that is with a cheaper sales tax. We're lumped together with Paulding County, which is a metro Atlanta county that has metro traffic problems that we don't have. Paulding County voters can increase the sales tax on Whitfield County voters even if we vote against it.
And we're kind of the same boat here because Florida has no income tax.
Correct.
So same thing with Valdosta. And so just being paired in the regions, you see that as a bad issue.
It's very poorly structured, but also what they found out in those regions is that they need to also make sure they somewhat equalize the funding coming back to a county. Where our first transportation list had about $48 million of projects on it. They saw we're going to produce $160 million in taxes. So they came back and said, y'all got to add more projects to this or else your county won't vote for it. Well, we already had some wasteful spending in the $48 million. Now, can you imagine now that we have $146 million, how much wasteful spending is in there? And that's occurring all across Georgia.
Now, proponents of the tax would say that, well, we need that for economic development, to bring jobs here, to bring industries here. What would be your response to that?
Well, first of all, I've never known that roads have done anything for promoting economic development. Once you have the jobs or whatever, you need to keep up with an infrastructure. But look at Corridor Z through South Georgia now. It was built many years ago, 4-lane highway. What economic development has occurred along Corridor Z?
It's a thoroughfare, but not much along the corridor. So.
It's killed a lot of rattlesnakes and possums, but other than that, I don't see a lot of economic development there. And right now, Georgia has a tax problem. The states who have either cut their income tax or eliminated their state income tax have greatly outperformed America as a whole. We have a relatively high income tax, about to have, if we pass this tax, most counties will have an 8 or 9% sales tax. Tennessee has the highest sales tax in America at 9.25% with no state income tax. Our sales tax will be bumping up against theirs with a 6% state income tax. We will continue to decline economically if we pass this tax.
Again, Mayor David Pennington, from Dalton, Georgia, joining us this morning. You also mentioned that talking about a tax should not only raise revenue, but also incentive behavior which benefits society. Talk a little bit about what you mean by that.
One thing that you want to do, particularly in the Atlanta area, and we all know this is for the Atlanta area, and they want more people riding mass transit and rapid transit down there to get them off the roads. Over 50% of their money is going for mass transit projects. But this tax does not tax gasoline. And so you're going to have people who don't even drive that much subsidizing people who drive singly in their cars in Atlanta traffic while they're doing that, and not incenting them to get out of their cars or to carpool or to ride rapid transit. So this is a poorly designed tax.
Now, is that the same as, and we've heard this comparison made, is that the same as saying that, well, if you're a senior citizen, then you shouldn't pay tax for schools because you don't use the schools? Is that along the same lines?
Somewhat, but I think educated populations, and we owe different generations different things, whatever. I don't have that problem. But the thing about it is also keep in mind when you don't tax gasoline, and you can look at it on your I-75 going by Valdosta right now. A lot of people going to Florida from Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Iowa. They're not going to pay this tax, and they would help us pay a gasoline tax.
Now, you also talk about the fact that the length of the referendum being a 10-year tax, and you also think that's a bad idea.
Or if you put a 10-year tax in the DOT, 10 years of revenue, that's a permanent tax. They'll never get it out of their budget again.
But now it would still be up for vote again. So, theoretically, you could vote it down afterwards.
But what they're going to tell you is you're going to start a lot of projects in the 7th, 8th, or 9th year, and if you don't pass another tax, we can't finish this, and the world's going to come to an end.
Do you think that this it's being taken in different ways in different regions of the state? What I mean by that, do you think it has a chance of doing very poorly in one region and with a higher possibility of passing in other regions? And have you looked at it from that angle?
Other than the Atlanta area, we don't hear a lot of support for this, which is obviously gratifying to me. But you never know till people go to the polls on July 31st. But one thing people need to understand, too, there are some needed road projects out there. And I'm saying that we've got the money in the state budget now to pay for those road projects if we'll become more efficient. I want people to think about if state government went away tonight, what are you going to miss when you wake up in the morning? When you turn on your lights, it's a local power company. When you take your shower, it's a local water company. If your house catches on fire, it's a local fire department. If somebody's breaking in your house, it's a local police department. The road in front of your house is local public works. I can go on and on and on. What does state government do for us anymore for a $39 billion budget?
So you see, not only aside from T-Splosh, you see waste at the state level across the board, I guess.
Without a doubt. It's if any government cannot cut their spending by 10%, and that's what this $1.5 billion is, if state government cut their spending of the state funded portion of their budget by 10%, that would free up another $1.8 billion a year.
Do you have any kind of prediction on what you think what's going to happen on July 31st?
I know in our region it's going to go down overwhelmingly, Northwest Georgia, and I'm hearing good things down in y'all's region. The Atlanta region seems to be the closest. Right now I'd say it looks 50-50 what we've seen. But, I think there was a poll, unscientific poll by the AJC yesterday. They were interviewing people getting off the MARTA trains, and overwhelmingly they were against it, and that really shocked people. And they said, we don't need any more taxes. I'm paying enough tax.
Now, I know, again, and I'm playing devil's advocate just to bring up the argument, what the proponents say is that the list of projects is made up locally, that the money will stay local, the money generated from this region will stay in this region. Do you see that the same way?
Well, all the money won't stay in the region because some of the money's going to the DOT overhead. And the projects that were made up locally were made up basically by elected officials. I don't know too many business people that were giving them the needed projects. So, that sounds good. And once again, it's political pandering is what that is, trying to get that to pass. And keep in mind, too, 25% of the money is coming back to local governments, and they didn't have to put in a project list for that 25%. They can use it to fund their public works department if they want to.
Right. Now, there has been a lot of talk that the money would go to Atlanta, and that seems to be one of the things that people talk about, but the money raised in this region. But that's not the way it's set up, or am I incorrect on that?
Well, part of the money is going to Atlanta, the DOT for overhead. Right. But keep in mind, too, all that money is going to end up going to Atlanta in this format. The money that's already in their budget for your roads now will not come back to you. This is going to substitute for that, and they'll use that other money for their own projects.
You made another statement that I just wanted to get you to clarify. You say since most small businesses are flow-through entities when it comes to their business taxes, a state income tax impedes the growth of the most important growth engine. Just by flow-through entities, explain
what that is we pay our income taxes, our corporate income taxes, on our personal income tax statement. We're LLCs, subchapter S's, things like that. Mm-hmm. So we pay that 6% on our personal income tax. And if you look at, ask a small businessman that pays tax that way, the nation or the national IRS 2 years ago passed where we could write off 100% of our capital purchases in the first year. Before that, it was 50%. It was accelerated. Mm-hmm. But in Georgia, we couldn't do either one. We had to add that back to our personal income tax, which is a hindrance to us also. What Georgia needs right now is a cut in our personal income tax, the 6% tax cut, and allow us to 100% expense our capital purchases in our first year. Then we can begin to get the Georgia economy growing and repairing itself again. If we don't do it soon, we're going to be so far behind, I don't know when we'll ever catch up.
And of course, different states do this different ways because obviously different states have different things that they can take advantage of and things like that. They're set up differently when it comes to tax base, and it seems like it's all about just trying to compete with those other states when you're recruiting industry, when you're recruiting projects and things of that nature, wanting businesses to expand in your state, and that's a very competitive process. So.
And the most important businesses in every state are local small businesses that grow in that state. Now, you can add on businesses by bribing them to move to your state, whether it be a Caterpillar or whatever, but that's not the vitality in an economy. It's local businesses. Georgia trails the nation in the best local business or small business growth. We compare favorably for employers up to 4 employees, but small businesses rarely grow past that in Georgia.
Mayor David Pennington joining us this morning. He was the guest of the Valdosta Tea Party at their meeting last night, and of course he is joining us this morning to talk about the T-Splost initiative, which will be on the ballot again on July 31st. It's a region by region. It's going to be voted on around the state, but there are 12 regions, I believe.
12, I think.
12 regions around the state, and Valdosta is part of, I think, 18 counties in this region, something like that. That'll be voting on it, and it is one region could pass it, another could fail it, and that's how it's going to go accordingly. So, and I think that's I don't remember a setup like that we've had before, where it's been region by region.
This is first time, and also keep in mind, it's the first time I've ever seen a ballot initiative where if you don't pass it, they penalize you on your tax money you've already sent to Atlanta. So they have a gun at their head to do that. And then the Secretary of State followed it up with a preamble on the ballot that is a blatant sales pitch for a yes vote in this.
Now, the preamble, which you're talking about, and the one that I have here is going to be the same for all the counties. And what it says is the vote is provides for local transportation projects to create jobs, improve roads, and safety with citizen oversight. So
ask your school board or your county commission whenever they put a SPLOST on their ballot here if they've ever been allowed to put a preamble like that before the vote.
So you don't think that's a good idea?
First of all, I think it's illegal. I think it's unconstitutional, and I think it will be challenged.
That's going to be interesting. Do you think it'll be challenged after if it
What
passes?
it is the people, it's too late now to change the ballots, but if this passes, we think there's going to be several challenges based on this preamble that the Secretary of State put on the ballot.
That'll be interesting to see. So, Dave, we appreciate your time this morning, and welcome to South Georgia. Hope it's been a good visit, and come back and see us.
Yeah, thank you.
Take some of this nice, cool 98-degree air back up to Dalton with you. So
I'm glad we got air conditioning.
David Pennington, the mayor of Dalton, Georgia, and up in the north part of Georgia, about 30 minutes south of Tennessee. Is it probably not
20 minutes?
About 20 minutes south of the line. That's right. So again, the T-Splash initiative that will be on the ballot July 31st. It's going to be a very interesting vote. We'll see how that goes. We're going to take a quick break, come back and take a look at your weather on this Friday morning, and more of the Morning Drive coming up right after this on News Talk 105.9. This is WVGA.